Yeah, I think it's there's also explanations for Lambda Delta and Kikonia apparently. In the cathedral devoid of people, a figure could be seen still staring up at the heavens, its chest pierced with a long red sword that pinned it down to the place in the ground. That figure was Battler. Ironically, it looked just like what he'd done to Beto with the blue wedges in the fourth game. Battler had died quite some time ago. No. In this place the concept of death means nothing, except that one has stopped thinking. Therefore, in a sense, Battler was not dead. After being defeated in a fight over the truth and surrendering, he no longer had the strength to think of a way to resist. That's what made him dead. Dalnor's massive longsword, which had been left in the place of a tombstone, fastened Battler to the spot even after his death. This is all being lit by a faint light seeping out of an incredibly high skylight. Quiet footsteps rang out across the still cathedral. From the darkness behind a pillar, a woman slowly stepped forward. It was Beatrice. Just like they'd been the whole time in the Golden Land, her eyes had no light in them, and were still muddled over with gray. This person was once unable to even drink black tea to her satisfaction by her own will. But though it was slow, and though there was no life in her eyes, she was surprisingly walking. Then, with slow, deliberate steps, she reached Battler, who was still dead, pierced through. Then, she slowly touched Battler. She tugged on his sleeve. However, Battler showed no reaction. When she realized it wasn't sleep, but death, the witch with the hopeless gaze let her head hang even lower. Then, she quietly whispered, "You liar." Beato softly touched Battler. Then, she pressed her forehead against Battler's chest. There was no longer any heartbeat. It wasn't just because he had surrendered. It was because the witches had chased him from the game board. So from now on, Battler would never return. So from now on, the Golden Witch Beatrice would have no reason to exist. Thank you. Liar. Goodbye. And sorry. Then, the Golden Witch completed her task and scattered a spray of gold. In the Golden Land, the gray rain gently continued to fall. There was a faint aroma of good black tea. Beato stared blankly at its surface. There was Virgilia continuing her knitting, along with me and Dalnor talking to each other. This is a recollection from Balor's memory which Dalnor's sword must have given him as it pierced him. A recollection of that time Dalnor had come to visit the tea party in the Golden Land.
It was the same with me. The next time we cross swords, I won't hold back.
Bring it on. I'll be your opponent. come at me with all you've got.
I promise, with everything I've got.
Dalnor, huh? I thought she would be an emotionless killer doll without a heart, but maybe she actually is pretty approachable. Though of course neither of us will show any mercy when fighting over the game board. For a while we gazed at the rain-drenched rose garden as we quietly enjoyed our tea. Still, it really is terrifying, the way you fight. Nox's 10 Commandments, or the Decalogue, was it? Those classic rules of the mystery genre, right?
Yes, they are commandments conceived by my father.
Hidden doors must not exist. That's Nox's third, right? That means there's no need for detectives to even look for hidden doors. Sounds pretty ridiculous. Berncastle said it herself. She said that because they were forbidden by Nox's third, even searching for hidden doors was a waste of time. I'd like to counter that by saying it probably wasn't so uncommon for a rich family's mansion to have a hidden door or two built into it, but apparently that sort of rule works perfectly well in the mystery genre. By the way, there exist many wonderful mysteries in which hidden doors appear, and where the hidden doors are the theme. Of course, this is limited to novels which have just the premise that hidden doors exist. That premise doesn't exist. The hidden door must not exist. So because that premise doesn't exist, there's no need to search for hidden doors. I think that's probably the essence of her ridiculous argument. It's like the detective trying to expose the truth and the illusion trying to confuse it with a mixture of truth and lies, are getting blended together, leading to a bizarre form of argument similar to the devil's proof. Making a closed room murder seemed to be accomplished by a witch with magic is fantasy. Exposing that was a human's crime done with tricks is anti-fantasy. Explaining all possibilities to expose the nature of those tricks is mystery. But it's also mystery to claim that possibilities with no hint supporting them are unworthy investigation? Let's say the hidden door is hidden in a way that there would be no clues. Would claiming that a hidden door therefore exists even though the detective couldn't find it be anti-mystery? That's enough of that. This argument is too far of a digression from the riddles I'm actually supposed to be solving. My fight is very simple. I'm only fighting to explain how it was possible for a human to carry out these crimes that were supposedly carried out by a witch. This whole discussion about mystery and anti doesn't serve any purpose. That's why I didn't have any particular interest regarding these rules known as the Nox Decalogue.
Do you dislike Nox?
It doesn't work for me. There's something strange about making it possible to deny the existence of all hidden doors without investigating. It's about as dubious as the devil's proof. Even though it's supposed to be the exact opposite of fantasy, it somehow feels like the same kind of argument. I shouldn't have said that. Your dad was the one who made them after all.
Do not worry. After all, there are some who say it is nothing more than a silly game.
The Decalogue feels like something very arrogant to you, right, Battler? To be honest, yeah. If an actual detective said he didn't need to look for hidden doors because they must not exist, everyone would start looking around on the floor to see if some of his screws had come loose.
In that case, Battler, let us say the third commandment didn't exist. In that case, what would happen to a closed room mysteries?
What if Nox's third hidden doors are forbidden didn't exist? In other words, hidden doors would always work just fine as a standard trick for closed rooms.
This does not refer to hidden doors with hints or foreshadowing. It refers only to doors that even the detective cannot find because, of course, they are hidden.
Battler, you often fight by using a devil's proof assuming the existence of an undiscoverable element X. That's what this is about. That'd be horrible. The closed room mystery genre wouldn't be worth reading at all. And if it were no longer worth anyone's time, it would cease to exist. No one would want to try solving the riddle from the beginning, not if they knew the answer might just be an unforeseeable hidden door. Unless you have some guarantee that no hidden doors exist, you don't really feel like trying to reason it out. I see. So Nox's third is necessary. Without that, it wouldn't be worth reading closed room mysteries. And if you didn't feel like trying to reason it out, what would that lead to? It means you wouldn't even want to read it.
That's it. Humans are weak creatures who can't even think unless they have proof that reasoning is possible.
That reasoning is possible. In other words, they need encouragement to let them know that they can solve it if they work hard enough. That might be true. It's the same with exercising. If you're told to run around the campus 10 times, you can tough it out. However, if you don't know how many times you're supposed to run around it, you probably get tired before you made it around 3 times. The same thing goes for thinking and reasoning. Humans view a problem differently, depending on whether or not it's guaranteed to be solvable. In detective novels, there's always a scene where the detective announces that he's discovered who the culprit is. That is a sign saying all the hints have been given in the previous parts of the story. So, dear readers, please try to reason it out.
Ah, yeah!
I always thought it was just a classic line, but I guess it does also have that effect. To put it harshly, until the detective says that, readers won't feel like trying to solve it no matter how much they love solving mysteries.
Weren't you like that yourself in the previous games?
Now that I hear it, maybe that really was the case. Maybe my fight against Beto really began the second game. At first I didn't really try to seriously tackle the closed room riddles Beto threw at me. After all, I knew nothing except that people died in the closed room, and the windows and doors were all locked from the inside. I mean, seriously, talk about having no hints to go on. So I refused to argue on the grounds that I couldn't fight, because the lack of clues made reasoning impossible. After that, didn't Beto sneer at me, asking whether I repeat that over and over forever in an endless repetition of moves? At that time, Beto said this.
Of course not. I'll give you the thing people like you always demand. The reason you always stop thinking and then moan about it is lack of information. If you are then given information, you start doubting whether the information is true or not by denying the basis. Isn't that convenient? What clever little words to hide your own incompetence.
Then she said she'd give me certain information that couldn't be denied, and created the rule called the Red Truth. Once we reached that point, the curtain finally rose on my battle with Beto. So, that's when I finally had a guarantee that I could solve this tale if I tried. And I stepped up to the stage with her for the first time.
Beatrice, she is a strange person. Though the riddles are only holes witches can live within, she began to give you the Red Truth, a method by which those riddles could be solved.
You could say the Red Truth is a hint Beto gives me, so I can compete in this war of reasoning. You could say the Red Truth is a hint Beto gives me, so that I can compete in this war of reasoning. Like Candy. Because I've been given hints, it's like she's saying, try and solve it, for it can be solved. An enigma that's guaranteed to be solvable can't be called a true enigma. Just like miracles can't be miracles if it can actually be done. It's almost as though Beto herself is admitting that she isn't really a witch? My. That does seem logical. She truly is a strange child. Beto gave no answer. With gray eyes, she did nothing but blankly stare at the steam rising from her black tea.
My father created the Decalogue to act as a crutch for the power of thinking. It was most certainly not made as a way to arrogantly decide things.
A crutch for the power of thinking.
That's right. By Noxus 8th, it is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. This does not only mean that one is forced to avoid making theories that are not supported by clues.
If you turn it around, it means the one proposing the riddles is forced to display clues that lead to the solution. So, in other words, if you follow the Decalogue, all riddles must have hints. And therefore, it's guaranteed that finding the solution is possible. Ouch. I see. So this is what they mean by a crutch for the power of thinking. If you can believe that it's solvable, you start wanting to have a go at those riddles. If you're capable of believing that hints do exist, you get fired up about rereading the story to search for them. I'll admit that it might have the power to give courage to those trying to solve it.
You seem to think the Nox Decalogue is a series of restrictions imposed by the one who made the mystery, but it is also vital for the readers. By By using the Decalogue as a crutch, we are given the courage needed to use reasoning, as well as the willpower to reread the tale several times and search for clues we know must be hidden there.
It's like the lid of a jar of jam that's too tight and it won't open. Like Mom always used to say, if you think you can't open it, then it really won't open no matter how hard you try. The same thing happens in sports. They say whether or not you have a strong image of yourself, believe you can win no matter what, has a large impact on the records. In that case, the Nox Decalogue isn't really a set of arrogant and strict restrictions. You can also see it as a way to encourage readers who are trying to solve the mystery, by telling them to give them their all, since it's definitely solvable. That's an interesting way to interpret it. Still, I heard that not all detective novels around the world follow the Decalogue all the time, right? When you bump into one of those, won't you feel tricked?
Even the Decalogue is nothing more than a single interpretation, and it cannot be applied to all mystery stories. Though fundamentalists among my father's work, it seems there are those who harshly criticize works that violate the Decalogue and call them heresy.
There's no end of arguments like this in the mystery world. Was this or that famous detective... Really? Was this or that famous detective novel really a fair mystery? In other words, one that followed the next Decalogue? That sort of argument is already an eternal theme of the mystery world. In fact, in mystery discussions, arguments like these sometimes become even more heated than a discussion of actual tricks. I can understand why they want to criticize it. They try to solve it believing it's solvable and follow the Decalogue, but it's actually not made to be solvable, like, at all. I can understand how that'd get pretty annoying. That's right. When fighting with the Decalogue, there's just one thing you can guarantee for the beginning. In other words, you want to guarantee that this detective novel will adhere to the Decalogue. If the work labels itself as an orthodox mystery, then you have nothing to worry about. However, the mystery genre contains many unorthodox subgenres within it. Does that mean trying to use reasoning in an unorthodox detective novel is a complete waste of time? Looking at it that way, it really does feel arrogant.
Yes, I also find it extremely sad that my father's Decalogue has been used as such an arrogant weapon.
Then again, you fought against Beato using the Decalogue as a weapon. Can I take that as proof that this game world of Beato's follows the Nox Decalogue? Remember, I pointed it out that she mentioned it in episode 2. When I asked that, there was a strange silence. Virgilia, Dalnor, and of course Beato. All remained silent for a while. Almost as though my question had touched at the core of something. That is something I cannot answer for myself. Why? This is a game that this child made. A game to decide which of the two of you will win. This child has called it a confrontation between mystery and fantasy. But unfortunately, she never said it was an orthodox mystery. That means you have no guarantee that it follows the Decalogue.
But at the same time, Miss Beatrice said this game is a contest between you and her. In other words, there is a chance that you could win.
In other words, you're trying to say that reasoning is possible. If you ask this child, she would probably say that reasoning is possible. However, just as she's the challenger and you are the challenge, the two of you are different creatures. Something Beato might have proposed, thinking it is solvable, may or may not be solvable for you as well. For example, let's say we propose a simple riddle that any Japanese person would know. However, if the person we're telling this riddle is a foreigner with a Japanese-English dictionary in their hand, it might be almost impossible to solve. In other words, it's possible to have a one-sided solvable problem, which might be easy for the questioner, but extremely difficult for the person trying to solve it. By the way, do you know the foreign riddle, why do dragons sleep all day? The answer is, to battle the night. It's a riddle from the English realm, It might be a little tough for a Japanese person. For that reason, I cannot say for certain that this tale is something that you will be able to solve. However, I can promise you one thing. I will guarantee you with the red truth. What? Beta wanted you to solve it, so she made this game. The riddles of this tale, solvable. That alone I will guarantee with the red truth. It was the one guarantee that all those who try to use reasoning desire.
I don't know if my father's Decalogue will apply to that answer or lead you to it. However, when you run into a tight spot and want a compass for your reasoning, please try to use my Decalogue if you remember. It might give you a renewed courage. It might possibly even lead to some new discovery.
Thank you. If I'm truly stuck, I'll think about your fighting style. Are you sure it's okay to help out an enemy like this?
Pay that no mind. I came to this tea party without a gift. I hope you enjoy this in place of a snack. And if you come to face with me again, there probably won't be a time to speak of such a thing so casually.
Nox's Decalogue. And Virgilia's red truth. Beata wanted me to solve it, so she made the riddles of this game solvable. In other words, Beata wants me to be capable of solving it. Isn't that proof that reasoning is possible? Of course, that's from Beata's point of view. It doesn't necessarily mean that reasoning is possible for me. Compared to before now, when I didn't even know whether reasoning was possible or not, that one line might give me a great deal of courage. At least it has the power to silence any negative thoughts about this all being useless. Unless the other party assures you that reasoning is my bad. Unless the other party assures you that reasoning is possible, you won't do it. It's almost like love between shy young people. Love? Yes. Unless you have proof that the other person loves you first, you don't want to love them back, right? Both boys and girls want to hear someone else say they love them first. That's their dream. If they are in love, they don't want to love the other person until they are sure this person loves them back. After all, there's nothing as painful as one-sided love. And the scars of the heart left behind last a long time. Because they're afraid of that pain, they want proof the other person loves them first more than anything else.
I see. That is an interesting way to explain the relationship between writer and reader in a detective novel.
Yeah. Maybe you could liken detective novels to that. Both the writer and the reader first want the other party to say they solve it, or that it can be solved. Unless the writer is assured the reader will certainly have a go at the riddle if they propose it, they don't want to write their story. The same goes for the readers. Unless they are assured that they are certainly able to solve the riddle they try, they don't want to read the story. Because they don't want to write what they consider a masterpiece and be hurt when no one reads it. Because they don't want to reason about what they consider a masterpiece and be hurt when they realize it was all useless. By that argument, it really isn't a stretch to say it's like love between shy elementary or middle school age kids. Even though they really do want it, they don't have the courage to reveal their feelings. So they wait uncomfortably for the other person to confess, and by the time summer ends, nothing's happened. More than that, sometimes the girl even ends up going out with an entirely different guy. That's what my first was like. Along with these one-sided feelings they can't express, they lament the passage of summer that will never come again. The days of their youth end. The writer who wouldn't write until he gained the support of the readers. The writer who wouldn't write until he gained the support of readers goes for all of eternity without releasing his maiden work. The reader who waited for the writer's rise to fame goes their whole life without knowing the joy of the mystery genre. Battler, when does this chicken or the egg type of shy love reach the level where it can progress into mutual love? Well, that's probably when things start to pile up. It starts out as a relationship between friends, they communicate with each other more and more, and when the two both reach the level where they're sure that I like this person and they surely like me, well, they probably just naturally become a pair of lovers. My impression up until now was that relationships starting with a sudden confession of love tend to break up more often, whereas pairs who never actually confess to each other but realize they've always been together usually stay together for a surprisingly long time.
In other words, this happens once the two of them believe each other, and a relationship of trust is born. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. It's a bit odd. I've always thought the mystery genre was about between the writer and the reader, but maybe that's not quite right.
Yes, it is something that cannot go without a relation built on mutual trust, a relationship with love.
So you're saying our relationship isn't one of killing each other, but one with love. Hold on. Though it doesn't look like anything more than a pair of elementary schoolers bullying each other to me. Virgilia joked at us in a middle-aged woman sort of way. Still, though I'm not expecting friendship or a trusting relationship, I can accept her as a rival. Beata was fighting at full force trying to make me acknowledge that she's a witch, so I'll respond to that and go all out, trying to deny that witches exist.
How can you be sure that Miss Beato is fighting at full force?
Can't you tell that by looking?
It isn't as though she has proclaimed in red that she's fighting you at full force. And yet, you still have no doubts. You are the one who said you wouldn't believe anything except the red truth.
Surely that the stage battle I mentioned earlier, where communication increases and you learn not to doubt your relationship. Virgilia and Dalnor giggled together. One guy, multiple women, and the topic is love. Wait a sec, isn't this the worst possible formation for getting made fun of? When I tried to bring out a proper root for a tea party in a rainy golden land by clumsily searching for a more noble subject, Virgilia saw right through me and laughed. Even amidst this, Beato kept looking downwards with those gray eyes, staring into her black tea. Yeah, that's right. Virgilia and Dalnor have given me so many hints, and yet I barely thought about it at all. Okay. By now, it's all too late. Let me think. Now that everything is too late already, and I've got an endless amount of time on my hands, let me think. One more time. Let me think about the red truth Virgilia gave me, and the crutch of the Decalogue that Dalnor lent me. And with the red truth, Virgilia guaranteed that, at the very least, Beato left enough room in this tale for me to achieve victory. That red truth guarantee will once again give me the power to start my heart beating. What? Dang it! That red truth guarantee will once again give me the power to start my heart beating. And there's the crutch of the Decalogue which Dalnor lent me. Dalnor herself warned me in the beginning that the Decalogue isn't so almighty that it can solve all riddles. However, she says something about how it could be used as a method to solve. No, to take on riddles. Let me try it. Though there's no guarantee that this tale is mystery or fantasy, let me believe that I'll definitely be able to solve it. That is a solvable tale, a mystery. And let me take it on one last time. When I came to, I was suddenly in that strange tea room I'd often argue furiously with Beato from across that table. Of course, Beato was nowhere to be found. It was just me, isolated and alone. That's okay. Even so, I won't stop thinking. Okay then. What was Nox's commandments again? I'm sure Dalnor explained most of them when slamming me with them. Of course, I even recalled them vaguely. What was the first one again?
Allow me to speak. Nox is first. It is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early part of the story.
When I muttered about what the first one was, as if answering my question, Dalnor's subordinate appeared. Without bothering with an unnecessary hello, she told me nothing more or less than what I wanted to know. Yeah, that's it. The culprit has to be one of the people mentioned in the early part of the story. In other words, the culprit must have already appeared. As early as the first game? True, that's the most basic of basics in the mystery genre. A classic assumption. A classic assumption? Have I really been keeping to that assumption? With each new game, the number of people in this tale keeps increasing. That violates the closed circle rule. By that point, everything gets screwed up. Did I give up on the inside, thinking that the true culprit or mastermind must not have shown up yet, and that reasoning was therefore useless? If I read this tale as a fantasy, new characters keep showing up, the point where even having demon kings or gods or creators appear wouldn't be strange at all. Even the true mastermind first appears in one of the last episodes, I'd have to accept it. However, if I read it as a mystery, and stick with that conviction, there's no need to worry about at all that anyone who shows up later, because Noxus First clearly states it's impossible for the culprit to be anyone else who appears later on in the story. Of course, there's also what both Dalnor and Virgilia said. There's no guarantee this tale follows the rules of the Decalogue. Of course, I can't deny the possibility that the culprit first appeared in the second game or later. However, this is one way of thinking. This time, I'll forget about the Devil's Proof completely, and try to borrow the power of the Decalogue in my thinking. After all, I've already said myself that I won't be able to reach the truth without a multi-angled outlook. In that case, that means the culprit in all these repeating games is one of the 18. From the very beginning, there was no need for the illusion of a 19th person. Even the first of Noxus' commandments denies the existence of an unknown person known as the witch from the very start. If I had followed that in the truest sense, I might not have suffered so miserably in the second game. And Noxus Second.
Allow me to speak. Noxus Second. It is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective. Bleh.
What, really? Really me?
Allow me to speak. Noxus Second. It is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective technique.
Dalnor's other subordinate appeared without a sound, and gave me the answer to my question. That's right. A detective can't go around using magic. So, if this is a fair battle, does that mean, like the detective, the culprit also isn't allowed to use magic?
Allow me to speak. Know that you are free to interpret it as you please.
Yeah, that's right. Sure, I'll interpret it my way. If this game is a battle between me and Beto, then because this tale is solvable, no elements will appear that will make it impossible to solve. In other words, things like magic mustn't appear. When they do appear, I shouldn't suspect that mystery element is breaking down, but I should instead question why it was shown and suspect the witnesses and observers. That's right! That was Beto's greatest weapon in the second game. Depictions of magic couldn't exist in a mystery. By showing me that, she forced me to think that this tale wasn't a mystery, and therefore the reasoning was impossible, so I surrendered. However, if I had believed unshakably that it was mystery, it wouldn't have been completely obvious to doubt the witnesses who claimed to have seen magic. Also, at the end of the first game, it was revealed that this tale was passed on to the people in the future by that message bottle. Someone had written about this crime, this tale. In other words, this entire tale is a world that includes the personal opinions of an observer, namely the person who wrote that message in a bottle. In other words, the observer isn't God. It's a human. Therefore, there's no guarantee that this description is truly impartial. By the end of the first game, it's already clear that we've broken the constant premise of the mystery genre, that the story itself must be seen through the eyes of God. For that reason, it's possible to doubt even the observer as well as the witnesses. If I could have doubted this much, then no matter how many seemingly unsolvable displays of magic appeared, I wouldn't have had to blindly accept them and give up. However, that begs the question. Is it even possible to solve a tale written by an observer who isn't impartial? If I get obsessed with this, all my reasoning will end here. However, I had to believe that Beato was trying to fight me through this tale. Because it's a fight. That means I've been given a chance of winning. By giving me that, doesn't that mean that reasoning is possible? This part is tough. Unless I believe that cruel witch took the risk on losing to try and have a fair fight with me, I can't get past this part. Just like Virgilia said, it's just like love. If I can't believe that Beato is fighting me head on with everything she's got, I won't be able to reason any further than this. Sure, I'll acknowledge it. That we love each other. We won't be able to get any further. Virgilia ran out of patience with the two of us, shy and incapable as we were acknowledging that out loud. She gave that red truth instead. That was the red truth saying. Beato wanted me to solve it, so she made the rules of this game solvable. What the hell? It's like Sato in Class A says he likes you. Like hearing a love confession via a friend. I really am pitiful. Reasoning is love. If we don't love each other, the reasoning won't start. In that case, how can we say that we love each other? If you think you can solve it, just you try. You're confident like hell you can solve it. Yeah, according to George, people like that are called tsundora. That brutal witch is finally starting to look a bit cute. If I meet her again, I want to try saying, "You're such a tsundora." If I meet her again, somewhere. Tell me the other parts of the Decalogue. I don't care about the order. Give me something that seems useful.
Allow me to speak. Noxus 8. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented.
Allow me to speak. Noxus 6. It is forbidden for accident or intuition to be employed as a detective technique.
It must not be solved with clues that aren't presented, and it must not be solved by relying on accident or coincidence. If this tale is made to be solvable, we can read this the opposite way. In other words, clues must be prepared so that the case can be solved, and it was made in a way that can be solved without relying on coincidence. If I can believe that Beato is challenging me to a fair game where reasoning is possible, I can be sure of that. In other words, Beato has already left me clues, hints, and messages in this tale. It isn't from the Decalogue, but Erica or someone said this. There are 3 riddles to be exposed in a mystery. One is the whodunit, who's the culprit. One is the howdunit, how did they commit the crime. One is the whydunit, why did they commit the crime. All this means that clues related to these 3 riddles are already presented inside this tale. Now, strictly speaking, it's like this. Because she wanted me to solve these riddles, Beato scattered hints about it. Though whether I'm capable of reaching those or not is another matter. Even if you think a riddle you propose is easy, it might be difficult for the person trying to solve it. In that case, it's only natural there will be a difference in how difficult each person finds it. Therefore, as Beato goes through each successive game, she watches me closely, and tweaks the game as needed to get a good arrangement. When Beato realized that I completely surrendered in the second game because it was too hard, she secretly worried. If I surrendered and lost the will to fight, the game would have no longer remained on an even footing. Therefore, in order to make me regain my will to fight, from the 3rd game onwards, she set things up in a way that made it easier for me, giving me tips on how to fight and a few hints. Virgilia and Renove obviously appeared so they could help me. Also, although we had our usual crazy magic shows, she gave me the metaphor of the Bronze Tube trial as well as the tips on how to fight back. I finally understood how to fight. And most likely at the end of the 4th game, Beato managed to have an all-out showdown with me that she probably wanted. Then Beato acknowledged that my abilities had become full-fledged, and entrusted me with her heart. Entrusted me with explaining this tale, didn't she? In that case, it really was dumb of me to boycott most of the 5th game, just because I was so disgusted with those 2 witches. It doesn't matter who the game master is. All I need is to search for the truth in Beato's game. On the contrary, I should probably thank those 2 witches just a little for continuing the game in Beato's place now that she's gone and left everything to me. Of course, I doubt those evil witches were trying to do anything of the sort. Culprit, crime, motive. The answers to those 3 ultimate riddles, the hints, must be scattered throughout the previously shown tales. It's probably a very faint light, like trying to find beads that have been fallen into a sandy beach. They're definitely there. However, they're so faint that unless I believe strongly, there's no way I'll be able to find them.
Please, allow me to speak.
What is it?
Go back through the tale. Know that you will be given them as long as you don't lose sight of the truth's faint light.
Right now, through this tale. Know that for the reasons to be possible, a trusting relationship is required. Yeah, I know. In fact, maybe I finally just noticed now. It's something that's been repeated over and over again throughout the tale, persistently so. Without love, the truth cannot be seen. Slowly, the tea room dissolved into darkness. Then, as though I was slowly sinking into a pitch-black sea, I passed through the crevice of the long journey I had taken with Beato, and kept on falling and falling. It was a bizarre experience, like crossing over the boundary of sleep while still cautious. The several tales before became faint bubbles. No, they were small shining fragments, and were scattered like stars amidst a pitch-black sky. I kept on sinking on and on into that sea. The tales up until now, one after another, Virgilius guided Dante to Mount Purgatory, and brought him to the feet of the eternal lady who waited at the top, Beatrice. Therefore, the innermost steps lay not at the bottom, but at the peak of Mount Purgatory. The eternal lady had been waiting there for Dante the whole time. And then I knew. I finally reached the truth, to the depths, no, to the peak of Mount Purgatory. Idiot. You really are an idiot. That hurts. He woke from the sleep of death, and bit by bit his sense of pain came back to him. On Balor's face, which still looked up at the heavens as he hung there pierced by the longsword, a suffering and alive expression gradually returned. You really are an idiot. A huge idiot, Balor noticed. This whole time, Beato had been snuggling up against him, sleeping. And when he held her, he knew that it was not Beato, but her crumbling remains. So when Balor just tried to hold that form as fragile as ash, then, just like the sandcastle made on a beach, washed away by a small wave, it fell apart and lost its form. At Balor's feet lay nothing but the ragged remnants of Beato's dress and a pile of ash. No, on top of that pile of ash, he could see something sparkling gold. It was the husk of a single gold butterfly, which had been torn to bits. And so Battler knew. I've definitely reach the truth. However, I wasn't able to do it while Beato still remained in this world. Beato, you really are an idiot. I finally reached the truth of this crazy riddle you created, just like you wanted. I didn't lose heart, and I finally made it there in the end. So why did you lose heart without waiting for me? You believed so strongly, didn't you, that I definitely reached the truth. So why couldn't you believe with me and wait? You aren't the one who's been forcing endless torture on someone else. It's me! I've been the one putting you through such cruel torture. You resisted until the very end and kept protesting to me. And even though I've now finally reached that truth, to think that you couldn't wait any longer, and it's all too late. You idiot! Why did you lose heart before me? Damn it! It's my fault. I forced her to endure this torture. In fact, she's been doing a wonderful job sticking through it for so long. Over and over and over again, you kept on protesting to me. And because I was so incompetent, it was as though I couldn't understand the truth. Idiot. Your riddles are too twisted. Why couldn't you say it more simply? Idiot! His scream of pain filled the sad cathedral. The sad witch who wasn't able to communicate the truth to Balor. The sad man who wasn't able to understand the witch's truth. Balor's howl of anger and sadness rang out for that pair. The clock hung in the cathedral showed that it was 2400, October 5th, 1986. Time was up for everything. You're kidding me. Don't set something like a time limit on this difficult riddle you're so proud of. No, I understand. Even though there was such a faint chance of that miracle happening, you prayed for it to happen. You're just like grandfather. You prayed for and bet on the power of a miracle, one so unlikely that it was totally impossible. Less likely than finding a bead that you dropped on the sandy beach. And that means I've now truly arrived at that miracle. However, your time didn't last long enough. If I had reached this point even a little sooner, if I could have seen the truth, even if it had been right before time was up, I might have been able to save you. But right now, I've been run through pathetically. I can't even hold what remains of you. As I attempted to pull the longsword out, I tried stretching out my arms and kicking my feet, struggling to at least touch her remains, but nothing worked. Shit! Damn it! At that time, I noticed a golden glint at the palm of my hand. It was a single wing from a gold butterfly. That small fragment of gold was the only piece of Beato that I was permitted to touch. I cried with all my strength, gripped that fragment and pressed it against my head, apologizing. Why couldn't I reach that truth sooner? When I pressed it to my chest, promising that even now, I would never again lose the truth. And the blood dribbled out. That blood spread throughout my fist. And it must have soaked that gold fragment with my red blood. It must have been the only way of telling her that I found the truth that she wanted me to know about. I clutched the wing of the gold butterfly with my freshly bleeding hand and pressed it against the red sword that pierced me. At this point, Ushiromiya Balor knows, and he understands. He's found this tale's everything. At At that time, it seemed as though a faint golden light leaked out of the gaps in his clenched fist. The two witches who had their backs turned, and Erica was laughing at Battler's corpse.
That really is pathetic, Battler. I'll make your foolishness into a statue, and for all eternity.
Huh? At that time, Battler's chest, no, the red longsword that pierced Battler, began to sparkle gold from deep within his chest. That bright golden light began to change the red sword's color, turning it gold. What's going on?
Battler is... What is this?
Battler coughed up blood and groaned. His consciousness came back. His will to live, his will to fight, came back. The red longsword that pierced Battler could no longer be described as such. By now, it had become a golden longsword. Then, slowly, gradually, it pulled itself out of Battler's chest. It finally pulled itself free and started dancing through the air, then stood up in front of Battler's eyes as though it knew who its master was. Battler, crawling on the floor and moaning, grabbed the golden longsword, and, though it looked painful, he slowly rose to his feet once again. This sure is an elaborate act. Is this one of your tricks, Lambda?
That glow! It couldn't be!
Lambda stared wide-eyed at that bright glow in awe. When she noticed that Battler's resurrection wasn't part of a script Lambda had thought up, Byrne also frowned slightly. Sorry, retrials will not be permitted. Jester sisters, eliminate this resurrection illusion. Understood. 45, 410, firing permission granted.
It's unable to target! IFF error! Code 999! Eek!
999, you say? Impossible! The Chester sisters hesitated, unable to carry out Berncastle's orders. Lambda, what kind of farce is this? The illusion of the witch has been completely destroyed, and the trial ended with our victory.
Sorry, Byrne. You'll have to stick around a bit longer. Isn't that right, Ushinomiya Battler?
Yeah. Sorry to keep you waiting, Erica, Berncastle. Now it's time for my truth.
Request for retrial accepted.
The Assembly of Witches retracts the adjournment of the Core of Illusions! Objection. The trial has already been concluded, and the results have been even announced.
Objection overruled! All verdicts are overshadowed by new truths!
Objection! Not only has Battler been banished as a player, he doesn't even hold the rank of a witch. He isn't qualified to call for an appeal.
Objection overruled! He already does have that. By the name of Lambda Delta Witch of Certainty, I acknowledge it. Ushinomiya Battler, I acknowledge you as the new Golden Witch. No, as the new Endless Sorcerer Ushinomiya Battler.
What did you say? Battler got the rank of a witch? The rank of a witch, which she had desired for so long, had been granted to Battler so quickly. On top of that, this wasn't anything temporary. This is an official, proper authorization by Lambda Delta. Erica couldn't accept it, her face turning bright red. Looks like that kid's game really will keep us entertained until the very end. Sure, I'll play along. Erica, you handle this.
The red truth you create with me is perfect. The construction of the truth makes Natsuki the culprit as perfect. Balor certainly won't be able to break it.
Of course, my master! There's no need to worry at all. Anyway, Chester sisters, my master ordered you to fire, right? How long is it going to take you to carry that order out? Error code 999. An access code is required to target the territory lord. Yeah, I told you to do it, yeah. Territory lord? Who is? Who controls this fragment? I do!
Territory Lord, you don't mean Battler is. Yes, Ushinomiya Battler has been authorized as the official territory lord of this fragment.
Yes, that's right. So you still don't understand? You don't know what the golden sparkle signifies? He's reached it. Battler has. He's made his way to the innermost depths of all truths. That means Battler's understood everything about this world, this tale, this game. In other words, he's reached the position of this game's master. I bet you don't want to believe it, right, Burn?
Yeah, I don't want to believe it. Okay, I'll test Balor to see whether he really understands everything. Erica!
She's almost the colors of Frieza.
Too bad, Erica. Just when you were finally appointed as territory lord of this fragment, you've been deprived of that title. The new territory lord of this fragment is Ushinomiya Battler. Is it awful? Hey, don't you just feel awful? How's it feel to be deprived of that title when you just finally gotten it? How's it feel? Battler! You really think you can disprove my theory? Just try it! It's impossible! Impossible! The theory I created has no holes! It's impossible to deny that Natsuki is the culprit!
I can construct a theory with someone other than Aunt Natsuki as the culprit. It may be that your truth is impossible to disprove. If so, that means your truth won't be able to deny my new truth either. Balor spoke with the red truth allowed by him by his status as a sorcerer.
A culprit other than Natsuki? How's that? Delnor! Let's see where this delusion of Balor takes us!
Slowly, Delnor steps forwards. In her hand was the red longsword of the Decalogue. So she also had her blue short sword. In Balor's hand was the golden longsword. The two rivals once again. No, for the first time, they truly confronted each other.
Battler, I've been waiting.
Sorry to keep you.
You did not. Your return was sooner than I anticipated. Kill him! Dalnor Enox!
Dalnor's form disappeared in an instant, as though her slow, dignified movements from before were only a lie. The curve drawn by the longsword of the red truth burned itself in the retinas of those who saw it. Before anyone had enough time to follow that curve, it was already approaching Balor's chest.
Lady Erica's reasoning has solved the fifth game. No new facts exist that overturn the truth created by this reasoning.
It's possible to show a different truth by using a different interpretation. When multiple truths exist in a parallel, the authenticity of both is questioned. In this closed-off world, it's possible for different truths to exist at the same time. Furthermore, as long as the multiple truths exist, it's possible to claim that any of the truths are the single truth. In other words, if I can't overturn Erica's reasoning by questioning its credibility and conquer it, I can defeat it.
Burn's reasoning is perfect. You won't be able to overturn it easily. But still,
if you can present a theory on par with Burn's, the fight will come down to a verdict. That means either one of the truths might be defeated and denied.
What a laughable script. I'd expect nothing less from a demon script.
Then let me ask, What is this theory with someone other than Natsuki as the culprit?
Balor's golden longsword drew both red and blue curves at will. It's possible to construct it using the revenge of the baby from 19 years ago, the one from Aunt Natsuki's confession.
Noxus first. It is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the early part of the story. A person first introduced in the 5th game cannot be named as the culprit.
What if the baby from 19 years ago was among us since the very beginning? For example, what if it was me?
Noxus 8. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Was there any foreshadowing showing that you might be the baby from 19 years ago?
The red truth from the 4th game that I'm not the son of my mother, Asumu. The feeling that Dad was hiding something for both the 1st and the 5th game. In particular, this game, it was made clear that there were some special circumstances having to do with my birth. Balor proposed that he might be the baby from 19 years ago, and announced that he constructed the crime with himself as the culprit. As Dalnor cautiously held her sword at the ready, she gauged the distance between them. Now that Balor had inherited the position of this world's territory lord and attained the rank of the Endless Sorcerer, his movements surpassed human understanding. By now, the physical distance between them probably counted for nothing. After all, their extremely agile battle was surprising to the point where the concept of distance made any difference.
A good start. Let us hear your theory with Balor as the culprit.
Yeah, I'll let you hear it. I'll prove that this explanation also works, and that you can't be certain that Aunt Natsuki is the culprit. Supposed to be the culprit, that creates several contradictions. I'll use those contradictions to reap your feeble truth. I, Furuno Erica, the detective and the witch of truth, will! This time, Erica stepped forward. In her hand there appeared a scythe like one a grim reaper might hold, a ruthless scythe for reaping everything that threatened her theory. It's only possible for the crime to have taken place between 2400 and 100. During that 1 hour, you were in the dining hall of the mansion. Therefore, it was impossible for you to commit the crime. It's not been specified the time of death was between 2400 and 100. Therefore, it's possible the crime didn't occur between 2400 and 100. There's a restriction on the murders in the cousin's room. From 1 a.m. until the discovery of the crime, it is impossible for any criminal action to occur in the cousin's room. Dalnor, now!
Noxus 8. It is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. If the crime was actually carried out in the cousin's room, clues must have been shown. Because clues were not given to Detective Lady Erica, who was on watch for any abnormalities inside the room till morning, such a crime is impossible.
By the time of the crime's discovery, you mean the point at which I let out a scream and everyone gathered there. Even if it was impossible to kill him before that point, it was possible to kill him afterwards. Balor used a blue flash to deflect both of the red truths that Erica and Dalnor had flung at him. Erica's eyes went wide. After all, what he had said was completely absurd. At that time, they still hadn't been killed. Even though the corpses of the next slice open were laying right there. The death of the four in the cousin room was proclaimed with a red text. Are you trying to use the illusion of the witch? Are you trying to resurrect George and the others using the concept of magic even though they were already dead at that time? I see. Since you believe that they were dead by that point, it probably looks as though the dead have been brought back to life to you. So this might look like magic in your eyes. In that case, I will be the one to take the next shot at you. Fool! How often do I have to say it? The deaths of the four people in the cousin room have been proclaimed with a red truth. Furthermore, those corpses were witnessed by a single... Damn it. Furthermore, those corpses were witnessed by a large number of people. Furthermore, it's already been proclaimed in red that no examination of any corpses would lead to a mistaken result. Take that, dead people! When was that red truth made? Have you forgotten this? The fierce shower of red was blocked by a magical barrier set up by Renove, who suddenly appeared right in front of Valor. Now that Beata was gone, the demons that shouldn't have been able to manifest themselves in the real world, however, he existed here. And calmly dealt with Erika's attack. You! Renove! How did you get here? Well, who cares? This all works out nicely. Now there's no need to go looking for you. I'll capture you here and deny your existence too. I'll leave it to you. Teach her that you can't control everything with a single arrogant truth.
Yes, Your Majesty. Well then, allow me to be your opponent for a bit. What do you say, miss?
In that case, where do you claim the Red Truth Death Proclamation happened? Are you trying to say you can pinpoint that? You can't pinpoint it, so you can't deny the Death Proclamation was made at the time of the crime's discovery. When the score was opened, Lady Lambda Delta made a proclamation. She said this was a 2400 answer session. The Death Proclamation was made at 2400 on the second day, in other words, at the end of the game. That does not deny the possibility that the murder occurred after the morning of the second day, after the so-called discovery of the crime. Then you're saying that the victims were alive at that time, even though their necks were sliced open? Did you see that yourself, Miss Detective? True, our current understanding is that no corpse will lead to a mistaken examination, no matter who performs it. But no rule claimed so far has prevented something other than the corpse from being called a corpse. Erika swung her scythe recklessly, but Renove blocked everything with elegant gestures made with the shield of one of his hands. So, at that point of time, no one was dead? There weren't even any wounds on their necks? In that case, why did Balor scream?
Better watch your feet, little girl. Ushirome Kinzo is already dead at the starting time for all games.
Huh? Ah! A pitch-black hole appeared beneath Erika's feet and swallowed her up. Let's try that again. A pitch-black hole opened beneath Erika's feet and swallowed her up. She could probably see through to the other side of the hole. It was the same thing you'd see if you looked down the skylight on the ceiling of this cathedral.
Leah!
Yes. Virgilia could already be seen in mid-air inside the cathedral. As Erika fell from the heavens, Virgilia was right below her and caught her on the end of the divine spear that sparkled blue. Shouldn't you rethink your reasoning? Kinzo doesn't exist. Therefore, the way for the bodies to disappear in your theory is a failure.
Correct. Unless someone other than Kinzo makes the corpses disappear, your theory fails.
Damn it! This is nothing! Virgilia's blue divine spear skewered and pinned Erika in midair. Erika struggled, filled with hatred, but she couldn't get it out easily. Then all around her, several small, fast things clanged off the walls and enveloped her. The 7 people manifested themselves at once. We are the 7 sisters of purgatory. Know this, foe of our master. You lowly paperweights! After George's death, his corpse was never moved. After Jessica's death, her corpse was never moved. After Maria's death, her corpse was never moved.
After Rosa's death, her corpse was never moved. After Genji's death, his corpse was never moved.
After Krause's death, his corpse was never moved.
Therefore, the corpses couldn't have vanished after being discovered. Your theory about Kinzo carrying the corpses away fails.
But so what? Even without Kinzo, I can explain how the corpses disappeared. Furuno Erika have to revise my theory? I do? The detective does? Erika was probably capable of escaping this even with Kinzo's existence denied. by making only a small revision to her theory. However, to her, having to revise a theory she had already created was extremely humiliating.
It looks like you toyed around with your plan too much in order to corner Natsuhi like that. You played around too much with your reasoning. At this point, your master isn't the only one who can speak of Kinzo's death with the red truth. This is what you get for playing around the witch's darkness. Know that, Furuto Erika.
Of course, even Erika had doubted Kinzo's existence from the beginning. However, it had previously been possible for anyone to deny his existence in the trial, except for Van Castle and Lambda Delta, who had sided with each other. And because of this willful silence of those two, the truth about Kinzo had been unfixed. And yet to think that Balor had become a witch, a sorcerer, and capable of using red without proof. However, she had her own Inquisitor of Heresy who could also use red without proof to counter. Down!
Noxus second, it is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective technique. If you would show that Kinzo has died with the red truth, then I demand that you display proof of a human's truth that could be used to make that point.
Forgive me, damn geezer. Overcome it, battler! Don't let my corpse stop you! Presentation of evidence. I'll present a corpse that could possibly be identified as Ushiromiya Kinzo's.
Can you prove that this corpse is Ushiromiya Kinzo's? No matter how much it resembles him, unless you can prove it is him, it is impossible to claim that it was a substitute corpse from someone else. Can you show that it was Kinzo's corpse with the truth of humans? In this case alone, with the red truth specifically, no counter-argument will be valid.
Oh! Any counter with the red truth would be invalid? I guess that works.
It may be true that the existence of third-party corpses has already been denied with the red. However, if saying that the red is forbidden, Balor has nowhere to run to.
That's right. In this closed-off Rokonjima, there's no objective way to show that this corpse is grandfather's.
And itself suggests the possibility that this corpse is a body double. This unidentifiable corpse cannot serve as proof of Kinzo's death.
Checkmate! My theory does not waver! Daonora sealed off the red truth as a means of proving that Kinzo's corpse had been shown. Even with the power of witches, Balor couldn't argue back.
How are you going to prove that the corpse that was Kinzo if the red truth is sealed? It's impossible. It can't be done.
With red or blue, right? I guarantee that this corpse is Ushiromiya Kinzo's corpse! Then, when Daonor met with Balor's golden flash, she was unable to fully block it with either her red longsword or her blue shortsword, as she was blown backwards into empty space. It was a direct hit without any miscalculation, though she'd always seemed as firm as a small giant before now. She was finally blasted away and slammed against the wall as though she was a slender girl she appeared to be. Daonor! What are you?
A splendid gold truth. It is valid.
Gold truth? The golden longsword, which had been drawing red and blue trails before now, finally drew a curve that retained its divine golden color. The truth it showed was neither red nor blue. It was gold truth.
What is that? Lambda, does this follow the rules?
Yes, gold truth valid. The gold truth can only be used by the territory lord of this world. No, only by the game master himself.
What did you say?
Gold truth. A divine truth woven in a different fashion than the red truth. Its strength is on par with the red truth. It may sometimes be inferior, but it is sometimes superior.
That glitter is proof that Balor truly understands Beto. I've shown it. Shown that the corpse is grandfather's.
Yes. Gold truth accepted. Unless Lady Erica's theory undergoes some revision, it will be destroyed.
What the? Erica cried out in pain. It wasn't the pain of her body being pierced. It was the pain of her own theory being defiled. I see. It's like, and then there were no acroids. Just when this. What a crazy mashup of great works.
Balor, it'd be excessively unrefined to say any more. Even without saying another word, you fully made your truth about the corpse's disappearance understood. I see. That thing that you're thinking of doesn't conflict with any of the read in this trial so far. Your truth-based resurrection of the man from 19 years ago has been completely understood and processed. I proclaim that your truth has now been established.
What the? Why is that? Great Lady Lambda Delta! He still hasn't explained everything! I still have many ways to argue back, like Hideyoshi's closed room, the sale of Natsu's personal room, and the button in the closet!
Do you really still think you're capable of defeating Balor's argument?
Only Erica, the one who was supposedly so intelligent, couldn't understand. She couldn't understand that Balor had already reached the real truth. Because of this, Grandfather's absence has been verified, and the desirable relationship between Aunt Natsui and Grandfather has been removed from consideration. Aunt Natsui is pure and faithful. I won't permit this vulgar tale you're all so fond of. Battler! Furthermore, because we were in status at the time of death for all those who died so far, the alibis for everyone besides Aunt Natsui go back to square one. If you try to argue that the crime was impossible for everyone except Aunt Natsui, it won't work. Daonora, who must have risen to her knees at some point, slowly stood up, the flash from the golden longsword still buried deep into her chest. Though pain didn't show in her expression, her awkward movements clearly showed how serious the damage she had taken was. Even though she knew herself the match was long over by now, Daonora didn't abandon her duty.
However, in the cousin room, you witnessed corpses that were impossible to misidentify. Are you trying to say that was a lie? Noxus 7 is forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. The detective is obligated to keep an objective point of view. Your theory would mean that you violated this obligation.
Furuto Erica is a detective, and the me in this game isn't one. And by Noxus 9, it is permitted for observers to let their own conclusions and explanations be heard.
Noxus 8 is forbidden for the case to be resolved with clues that are not presented. Until now, you have been the detective. Has it ever been shown that you were not the detective this time, and that you were an observer capable of inserting his own personal ideas? Unless it was, you do not have the right to falsify your point of view.
In this game, when I figured out the device to connect to the epitaph's riddle, I witnessed Grandfather. As has already been shown in red, Grandfather doesn't exist. It was impossible for me to witness him. Therefore, it's already been shown that my viewpoint wasn't objective.
It is possible that it was just a sheet or something fluttering in the wind and rain, which you mistook for Kinzo. It cannot be used as foreshadowing to form a basis for Noxus 9. Mistaking one thing for another is a right permitted to all observers.
There's a red truth that Beto showed during the fourth game. No person would mistake Ushiromi and Kinzo by sight. It's the red truth Beto used to counter my blue truth claim that someone disguised themselves as Kinzo, to make it seem as though Grandfather had appeared. In other words, on this island, all illusions that might lead to someone mistaking something for Grandfather, including someone else pretending to be Grandfather, most certainly cannot work. All of Aunt Natsui's schemes to make it seem like Grandfather existed were hidden in the relative's blind spots. All of them clever tricks, like he was here a second ago, or he's in his study alone now. They never try to make anyone else mistake something they saw for Grandfather himself, so there's no contradictions. If they tried to dress one of the servants in Grandfather's robe, it probably would have been seen through in an instant. It's been guaranteed that none of the characters in this tale would mistake something else for Grandfather by sight. If someone claims to have seen Grandfather despite that, it becomes a lie. Allowing lies to be contained with their observations is a right granted to everyone, except for just one person, and that person is the detective. Because of the right granted by Noxus 9, anyone is allowed to mistake a sheet in the wind for something else and tell about it. However, mistaking it for Grandpa in particular is not permitted in this game due to the red truth.
So once you claimed to see Kinzo, it was no longer misrecognition, but intentional. In other words, this proves this observer was not objective. Is that what you're saying?
In this case, unintentional misrecognition is not permitted by the rules of this game. However, it's possible to intentionally lie about seeing something you never saw, and that is an action not permitted to a detective who is obligated to maintain an impartial perspective. Forgive my crazy argument. It's all finished now.
No, it's okay.
Because
Men like you exist in this world. You will surely protect the fragile truth from any kind of pride. You will surely protect the real truth from the tyranny of any plausible truth that might claim to exist as a sole truth and try to exterminate all fragile truths.
Balor's golden longsword drew a massive blue arc as though splitting the heavens. I'm glad I could fight with you. Oh wait. No, she meant to say this. Sorry.
I'm glad I could fight with you.
Therefore, my perspective in this game is based upon the 9th, not the 7th. The fact that I claim to have seen Grandfather is proof! The noise that rang out across the cathedral was the sound of Dalnor's longsword clattering to the floor, simply letting go of what was the same as resigning to the proud Dalnor. Though the blue trail Balor had drawn was aiming right for the top of Dalnor's head, it stopped a hair's breadth away. If it hadn't, Dalnor probably would have been annihilated without leaving a single scrap of flesh behind.
I resign. I give up on denying your truth.
I pay my debt. Let honor be to your father. The Decalogue was neither arrogant nor judgmental.
Honor to my father.
Dalnor sat down on the floor and completely abandoned her will to fight. What are you doing, Dalnor? Lame! Pathetic! You stupid half-wit murder doll! You've tainted the honor of your own father! Shame on you! You still call yourself Mystery's wedges? Will you surrender to magic? The history of the Mystery Genre will not allow that! You're the one that doesn't understand what mystery is all about. If you see mystery as nothing more than a weapon which to sneer at your opponent intellectually, I won't let you ever say so again! But I'll present a truth that conflicts with yours. Aunt Natsui was threatened by a phone call over the eternal line set by a man from 19 years ago. Me! His goal was to make Aunt Natsui look like a murderer. From the beginning, this has all been a drama of revenge, intent on framing Aunt Natsui. That's wrong! It's a drama of revenge against the Ushimiya family that Natsui thought up! Your theory outright opposes mine! You still can't put out the blue spear that's sticking through you, right?
Yeah, that's right! From Erica,
I haven't heard a single way for the courses to disappear that doesn't involve Kinzo.
It looks like your theory is about to be denied, doesn't it?
This spear is just... You paperweights! Get out of my way! The deeply piercing blue and the 7 red stakes tormented her theory. They won't come out. They won't come out! I acknowledge the mistake in Erica's reasoning and the need for revision. What the? My master! Watching Erica's face contort with pain as she struggled to escape from the spear. When Castle spoke this with a disgusted expression. Faced with the facts when Castle had acknowledged Erica's loss herself, Erica gazed at her master, who was no longer confident in Erica's own victory, with a mixture of shock and despair. I don't give a damn about your pride. How long do you intend to shame yourself like that? You, my double, who's been granted the same blue hair as me. How long do you intend to hang there, pierced through like that? I guess I'll just have to descend myself. Looks like I didn't need a piece after all. Ah, what a pain. What a pain. What a total pain.
I don't need a piece. I'll just throw it away, yeah. That disappointing, regretful, discouraging, hopeless letdown of a misfire. Do it quickly, filth! Didn't I tell you to revise that pathetic theory of yours?
Yes, my master. I'll revise it. I'll revise my theory.
As Erica's face twisted in humiliation and tears streamed down from her eyes, she withdrew and revised her own theory in accordance with her master's orders. Mumbling quietly, she made various revisions with the blue truth, and had them acknowledged by Lambda Delta, and finally had the blue sphere smashed and was freed. Though the blue truth did indeed explain how the corpses had disappeared, it couldn't conceal its desperation. It was a bit of a truly shabby reasoning.
My master, I've taken it out. My theory, it's perfect.
Are you kidding me? It's horribly pathetic. But I'll forgive you. Because your face and your theory are so lame it's funny.
Erica's taunted by her master, who wore an ugly expression. She thrashed about on the floor, crying bitter tears. The wounded Downor stepped out before her, as though shielding her. She spoke to Berncastle as well as Battler.
Regardless of how pathetic it might be, Lady Erica's revised truth is valid.
Yeah, that's right. Regardless of my truth, yours can exist at the same time. That's what this world is like. No one can disprove them. So even if there are various truths, and even if they contradict each other wildly, they can exist at the same time. Here as many truths exist as you imagine. No one can just deny that all on their own.
Yes, that is true. I won't let anyone deny Lady Erica's truth. Downor! As long as I'm here, I will protect that truth. No matter how pathetic it is, I will not laugh at that truth.
The words of Downor, whom Erica had previously looked down upon, led Erica to once again thrash about the floor sobbing. And, because no unique truth exists, everything is covered in darkness. Therefore, while both my theory and Erica's theory are impossible to deny, neither is a unique truth. They're vague, and while neither can be denied, neither is certain. Because there has been no decision, the illusion of the witch still exists. The only one who will be permitted to expose it is neither Erica nor the rest of you. It's me alone! I won't let anyone expose Beatrice's illusion except me! The verdict is revised. Because of the truth presented by Ushimiya Battler, Erica's truth is no longer unique. However, Erica's truth is impossible to disprove. Therefore, both of their truths exist together. The conclusion of the fifth game is rescinded. The game goes back to being even, and I transfer the position of Game Master from myself to the Golden Sorcerer Ushimiya Battler. Ushimiya Battler, step forward! I appoint you as the new Game Master. Will you accept? You will, right? Do it, you new endless witch! Yeah! I'm the new Game Master! I'll weave the sixth game! Erica, let's settle things for good this time! Stand up! Yes! I will stand! I'll make you regret giving me a chance to clear away this shame! My master, please give me an opportunity to fight with Battler again in the sixth game!
Sure. Of course I'll give you a chance.
Wow, incredible! She said I'll give you a chance! Isn't this a miracle from the Witch of Miracles Berncastle?
Erica, you miraculously managed to escape with your life. In the sixth game, Battler's game. Expose the truth no matter what, unless you want to be tossed aside into the darkness of oblivion.
Yes, my master! Downor! Of course. I will give it my all in my next game as well.
I won't pretend to be a guest any longer. Together with Downor, I'll tear your game to bits! Sure. I'll invite you to my 6th game. Sorry, but that tile of yours, checkmate of the, isn't cutting it. It's your game. You can decide the name yourself. Just bring it on. I, Furuto Erica, am a detective before I am a witch. I acknowledge you as the new master of this game, and I issue a proclamation of war. I'll definitely expose it all. I'll kill you, golden sorcerer who showed me a battler. Yeah, come at me with all you've got. Furuto Erica! Just watch, Beto. I'll take charge of your game. And this next game, I'll prove that I completely understand all of your riddles. Okay, we have to meet this part. Okay. Aw, man, Tsubasa's so awesome. Okay, anyway. Sorry, I couldn't read all the other lines. Okay. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, if you combine Burn Castle and Erica's colors together, they basically look like Frieza's race's, like, colors, lines, and stuff. I love how Downor is kind to her, though. I love how even Burn Castle doesn't actually even like Erica. She's just making fun of her. Damn. Tomorrow you're gonna read episode 6. I should just start making like some sprite edits and of Dragon Ball Z characters too. Ow, 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 ow. I sat on my legs and they're numb. They have fallen asleep. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Especially with the time to put in the ring. Oh god. Okay, it's reading the tips time. Alright. Tippies. Okay, let's see. Let's try to kill Erica. Oops. Beatrice, on the highest plane and the one who created this world in the 4th game. She entrusted everything to Balor and abandoned her position as Game Master. She lost even the will to express herself, to say nothing of the will to fight, and is now little more than a doll. In the world of the game board, those who do not fight have no significance. Her existence has probably been growing insubstantial, and will probably break down and disappear before too long. Okay. Let's see. And I wonder, is there... No. Okay, Noxus Decalogue. The 10 Commandments written by Dalnor A. Noxus' father and used in heresy trials. Noxus first. It is forbidden for the culprit to be anyone not mentioned in the first part of the story. Okay, we don't need to read these because, like, yeah. We know we've seen them repeated. Noxus 5th is not included because it's racist. And the debate over the interpretation of these laws continues to this very day. It has become the source of countless unfair controversies. While fundamentalists call any infringement upon these commandments heresy, revisionists point out that many canonized geniuses have violated these rules. Alright. And now, Oh yes, I remember that. I remember. I'm glad they did not bring that up because it's just like, I mean, they left that out. But yeah, I don't know how to pronounce some of the names. I have to do better research for one of these days. Because I don't know how to pronounce Eisernjungfrau or something. I'm not German. Ugh, it'll be worse if I read Kikonia. And they have like the aerial augmented infantry squad, but like the imperial, I don't know. They got so many long phrases. Goodness. Oh. Alucard, Dalnor, shake hands. Oof. Is it Willard? Yes. I love how it's like he explains it like the metaphor or something. Hold on. Sorry. There was something annoying flying in the room. There was a fly in my room. I tried to get rid of it just now. I don't know. I just found myself just reading all the time from it. I didn't really take any breaks. Hold on. I have to check something. Oh, thank God the cricket isn't being heard. I was hearing a cricket again. It's really annoying my ears. Okay. Wait. Okay, yeah.